World, Florida. Dr. Narco Longo.
Brought to you by the Florida Department of Magic. Welcome to Florida, baby.
Florida is the original Garden of Eden.
Florida has the highest concentration of freshwater springs in the world.
Florida oranges are the golden apples of mythology. A race of giant men once roamed this peninsula. The Smithsonian can suck my balls.
Florida is littered with many ancient megalithic ship anchors, known as Saxor stones.
I'm bringing Saxor back.
Happy Saturday, everybody. Happy July 7th. Okay. It is 7-Eleven day. I hope you got your free Slurpee today. I hope you got your whatever they're doing. Free roller dogs. But what we're going to talk about tonight goes far beyond just the gas station quick stop, So 7-Eleven, man, a whole lot to talk about. But the occasion, aside from it being July 7th, recently I had a reel go somewhat viral, and it's kind of a funny one. And so let's watch that. It's all over Instagram and TikTok. And I want to preface this by saying we don't support any hatred or discrimination of any kind at all. I'm actually a philo-Semite. You can not actually, but by many people's standards, I would be termed a philo-Semite. So we love everyone. We love everyone in Florida: Jewish people, Muslim, Christian, yada yada yada. And so the only stances we're going to be taking tonight, the only line in the sand we draw, I think I can speak for us all, is the healthy versus the unhealthy, the poisoning versus the unpoisoned, right? That's the teams that we're aligning ourselves with tonight. So this is about nutrition, it's about health, it's about morality, and maybe animal ethics a little bit too. But I think we can all get on board with eating healthier and exposing people who would trick us into not eating so healthy. So,
yep.
With that being said, and also, Seth, I don't know if you want to share, but you're part Jewish yourself. So, this is not at all targeting any one group or anything, right?
That's correct. Through my patriarchal line is Hebrew. So, and we do love everybody. When we get into the healthy versus unhealthy, it's not just the physical, it's the mental, the spiritual. And we got some gravy to pour tonight.
Chill, yeah. Well, with that being said, let's take a gander at this. This was from my stream with Tinfoil Hat. So Sam Tripoli. So let's take a gander. Hang on the internet. If you go through all the fast food chains, they all have some dark, insidious origin. Now we have the 7-Eleven food chain. Do you guys know what the 7-Eleven brand of foods and desserts is called?
What?
Go Yum Foods.
Oh,
Goyam.
Wow.
Go
That's
Yum.
so funny.
Literally Goyam Foods. If you go get ice cream at 7-Eleven, it's Goyam brand.
Here, you
I'm
eat
not
this
even
shit.
kidding.
Yeah, it's like just
Goyam.
So,
Oh, yo, that's fucked up.
that's crazy. No one's ever broke this on the internet. If you go through. So, yeah, first thing I want to say about that is we got to give credit where credit's due. I am not the first person to break that ever on the internet. I looked, and I was under the assumption that I was the first. Now, I was tipped off by a subscriber who sent me a DM because they were at 7-Eleven and saw the ice cream labels. Now, when this clip went viral, Adam Green, if you know who Adam Green is, he actually retweeted or tweeted about it years earlier, like 2019. So, he told me he doesn't, he's not really seeking credit for that, but he was, I guess, the first to break that on the internet. So excuse me for that. My apologies for overstating the claim, but now you guys know. Now everyone knows. So what do you guys think about that? What were your thoughts?
Well, the reason it's significant, people need to do a little bit of homework, I think, because we can't rehash the entire fast food conspiracy, but you got to look at Longo's older video on the fast food conspiracy in the Knights of the Golden Circle. And I guess that's what you guys talked about on Sam's show, right? You know,
Mhm.
part of a much deeper and much wider web. So it's not just like this one-off, oh, it's called Go Yum. That's interesting. It's the entire fast food industry seems to be conspiratorially out to get us.
Yeah, totally. And like I always say, you know, the real Illuminati, the real bankers, the real juice box, you know, emoji, the real powers that be are internal. They come from within, unfortunately. That's not to paint a bad picture of the human being, but I think that's really just down to human nature, and the Bible reflects that some of these vile influences actually emanate from within. The same, and all the powers that be are, and the people we complain about, their only issue is that they're succumbing to the 7 vices, the 7 sins, more than the people they're preying on, right? That they seek to prey on. So that's the only real separation. So again, I think it's kind of a fool's game picking out one group of people or one restaurant and saying, you know, they're the bad guy. But at the end of the day, all these institutions really do just cater to the vices, gluttony, and of course some others. So, but yeah, so Go Yum Foods, man. Now, a lot of people's reaction to that was, you know, people were hearing this term slop go around a lot. Goy, slop. You're hearing people say it. It's pretty much mainstream now. And well, I think people can kind of understand the general idea that the powers that be, perhaps of a certain tribe, are often, you know, getting into the food and steering food standards in a negative direction. That's the nicest way to put it. There may actually be literal poison in the food that like makes us gay, trans, obese, cancer causing. I mean, it could be the worst case scenario as well, you know. But I think a lot of people, their knee-jerk reaction to this was, well, what does 7-Eleven, like, how do they connect to that big cabal? Like, you know, where do they fit in? So that's what we're going to try to explain here tonight is the symbolism behind 7-Eleven. What does it mean on its own, the number? And how does this quick stop convenience store fit into it? People say 7-Eleven's a Japanese country. Now that's largely true,
Company.
but they're right. But when I hear 7-Eleven, having studied the history of Florida, the Spanish Empire, the Moors, right, the history of Iberia, 7-Eleven is a very significant number historically, very significant year. It is the year. So just to rephrase, what would this group of people stand to gain, or why would they kind of sign off on this 7-Eleven thing? You know, what symbolism does it bear to them? Well, 7-Eleven is the year that the Moors invaded Spain, or the Iberian Peninsula as a whole. That kickstarts the what's called the Jewish golden age of Spanish rule. So 7-Eleven is a pretty significant year to them because they see 7-Eleven as the starting point of their golden age. That's like the beginning of their golden age. So that's our first 7-Eleven connection. Then of course, it wasn't until 1491, 1492 that the Moors were eventually kicked out. During that time in Iberia, when the Muslims came in, they kicked 99% of the Christians had to go. And the ones who stayed had to pay heavy taxes, and, you know, they were persecuted heavily. You name it. right? ISIS beheadings, stuff like that. People say, "Oh, the Muslims were so nice," and all this and that. Oh, it's just propaganda. Listen, I've got a whole list of things I could say about the Muslims I don't like, and they're often the ones operating these convenience stores. If you haven't noticed, they do kind of go hand in hand, and it's very rarely the Hindu Indians who are working convenience stores. It's 99% of the time it's the Muslim Indians or Pakistanis, and that's why The Simpsons 7-Eleven is like this archetype in The Simpsons with what's his name?
Apu.
Apu, yeah.
Yeah.
Apu, if I'm not mistaken, he's not a Hindu. He is a Muslim.
I don't remember getting into Apu's religion. He's just some Indian dude at the
Yeah.
convenience store.
Well, you'll notice it's very rarely the Hindu ones, which is what I'm getting at. It's almost like a collusion between particularly the Muslim ones who come to America and are also complicit in the Goy-Slav agenda, because a lot of these Muslim families who own convenience stores and gas stations, they get their food from EBT and then sell it in the gas station. Like you saw Nick Shirley exposing that stuff. So,
Wait, they're selling their EBT?
yeah. Have you ever noticed why when you go
Income?
into a gas station, it's all like variety pack snacks, just filed back onto the shelf. They get variety pack snacks that are like dime a dozen from EBT. You get all these snack packs that are for free essentially, and then they sell them for 100% profit, 1,000% profit. Like,
Dude, it's insane how much scamming there is. Isn't it crazy waking up to how much scamming there is going on in the world? Not to say like you were ever naive, but like, I knew they were scamming, but the extent to which we are just being taken for a ride in so many different ways, whether it comes to taxes for a certain country and who we love, who we support wholeheartedly, friends of the show, and all these different things, whether it's the daycare fraud, this, that, or the other. It's like, dude, like we are getting drained. I'll land it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Guys,
you know what else about Apu?
Yeah.
So the store is called Quickie Mart, but it starts with a K.
Ooh.
And that is a theme that we're going to see throughout tonight and throughout the whole fast food conspiracy is the letter K, which happens to be the 11th letter of the alphabet.
Ooh.
So
Okay.
Circle K, Chick-fil-A,
Yep.
Crystal. There's a whole laundry list of K in the fast food industry.
Kraft Foods, Krispy Kreme, Kmart, Kellogg's. I mean, K is everything. Special K. It's Special K's.
Right.
K's everywhere. Yeah, Seth's absolutely right. Guys, gonna have to make a public correction here, and I'll be honest. I've never watched a complete episode of The Simpsons. All right, I just can't stand it. So, I guess Apu is Hindu, from what I'm seeing. So, correction. Sorry, guys, but I kind of like the idea of 7-Eleven represent like the convenience store representing the Spanish Golden Age. And it's like, the people in charge get the Muslims to like run the store for them, almost like how they got the Muslims to come in and kick the Christians out and take over Spain and run Spain, and they profited immensely from that. It was their golden age, like we said. So I think that is at the heart of the 7-Eleven symbolism, is why they want to put this back in our face. It represents the 7-Eleven. How about this? Put it bluntly. 7-Eleven represents the downfall of Christianity and the Jewish golden age. I mean, that's the simplest way to put it. So let's look at the Moorish invasion of Spain real quick. Muslim conquest of the Iberian Peninsula, let's see. Military commander Tariq Ibn Ziyad deported from North Africa under the command of Musa, blah, 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 in early 711. Sorry, departed from. In early 711 to cross the Straits of Gibraltar with a force of about 1,700 men to launch a military expedition against the Visigothic kingdom based in Toledo, which encompassed the former territory of Roman Hispania. So yeah, there you see 711.
Yeah. And it's just incredible with the whole Goyim connection too, because there's no real way to weasel around it. You know, it's a word that people have woken up to, and it literally has Goy, Goy. It's the first three letters, so it can't be like a whoops, we didn't mean to. You know, it's really hard to not see it.
Mm-hmm. Zalero Morales with $10 says, "Good to see y'all. Thank you. Cheers." Likewise, man. Appreciate it. And we got 5 Old World Florida memberships from Mark O'Farrell.
Yo, nice.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So, 7-Eleven, the Muslims, Moroccans, Moors, right? It's the Moors who invaded Spain. They're there until 1492. They're, the Christians, the Catholics take over. They kick out the Muslims. And then we get the Columbus story, where Columbus essentially rescues the Jews or finds them an escape route to a new land, safe from the Inquisition. And they pick up the story in America, right? And again, we have to skip over some stuff, but throughout time, we get to the plantation culture of the Caribbean, slave culture, sugar. This is going to be a theme tonight. Sugar, refined sugar. I mean, that was the fentanyl of the day. Like, rum was made out of sugar. Rum was the fentanyl of its day, actually. But sugar was, in many instances, the hardest drug around. Like,
Really?
I mean, yeah, if you had pretty much never encountered large amounts of cane sugar and then you see it powdered in mounds and heaps, so that's what slavery was all about. They brought African slaves to the Caribbean to mainly do sugar. The other crops wouldn't be totally established until later. I don't know if it's yucca or what type of sweet potato was naturally occurring all over the Caribbean. Those things just grow them on their own. You don't really need to line those up or harvest them anyway. So a lot of food they had was abundant. And the main thing they needed that slave labor for was sugar. And if you'll know, 7-Eleven today, I mean, it's a slop factory with an emphasis on the sugar. The big gulps, the big sodas. Now listen, I'm a soda guy, okay? But at a certain point, when they've got the cup designed for your car cup holder that's like skinny at the bottom, but it's like, the fucking, it's like the hockey tournament, what do they call it? Stanley Cup or some, it's like the Stanley Cup at the top, but it fits in your cup holder at the bottom.
Yeah.
Those things are engineered to like destroy humanity. It's giving you the illusion of this is normal, right? Like that huge cup fits in your tiny little cup holder. That's kind of like an encapsulation of the mindset behind cram as much refined sugar down your gullet as you can. Slurpees. 7-Eleven is synonymous with Slurpees.
Mm-hmm.
And did God ever intend for us to have a brain freeze? Is a brain freeze not just like your fucking pineal gland just killing itself, being like, I'm done,
I'm sure you guys know the effects of artificial food coloring too, because those Slurpees are blue and red, and I don't even know what color they are. But those food dyes are provably linked to learning disorders, ADD, hyperactivity, lower IQ. And I think the sugar is really the vehicle for the more sinister products, the more sinister ingredients, like the food dyes and the preservatives. Because honestly, if we were all drinking sugarcane juice and that's all we drank, everyone would lose weight. Everyone would get lean again, and everyone would have a six pack if we just drank pure sugarcane juice, because that's what our body runs on. It runs on sugar. Glucose is the molecule that your cells want to burn. It's the only molecule your cells burn. So everything has to become glucose in order for your body to use it as fuel. So, you know, there's a lot of like demonizing sugar out there, but it's all the stuff that's packaged with it. It's the fat and even the type of sugar they're using, the high fructose corn syrup. You know, if they were just using pure sugar, like I'd be all about that, but because I'm a sugarholic myself, but it's really the preservatives and the artificial colorings that turn us into complete zombies.
Well, you know, that 1600s, 1700s Caribbean sugar plantation culture was also like the origins of anti-caking agents, bleaching agents. I hear you, and that's such an important clarification for sure. I love cane sugar, juiced. It's great. But, these were the people doing everything in their power to turn it into $1 billion enterprise. Their goal was not fresh squeezed orange juice. It was, Tropicana from concentrate. That was their vision for what future would be, for what sugar would become. And if they had cocaine, they would have been growing cocaine, but that really is, we can't understate how much slave labor hinged on sugar, or vice versa. Like slave labor, without the sugar cane, many of the slaves would not have been brought here if they actually, even were shipped over in the numbers people tell us. But so, yeah. So sugar was a big thing. That's why the slaves came over. And that may be another kind of, hey, because many people who talk about black people being in America the whole time, they almost always do it along with the Moors, the Moorish conversation. They say the Moors were bringing black people to America before Columbus. They'll say the Moors had an empire in America. There's some compelling stuff. Morocco is the masculine half. America is the feminine half. That's pretty cool. Much of America is on the same latitude with Morocco. And here's something pretty cool. Merlin, could you look this up? America's first ally or treaty. It's one of
America's first treaty. Yeah, I think it's treaty. Yep. I think you're correct about that.
America's first treaty. What does it say? Might be France or something. I don't know.
The first treaty signed by the U.S. was the Moroccan-American Treaty of Friendship, which was established in 1786.
Can we see that? Can we look at that?
Yeah, let me put it up on the screen here. Yeah.
So, that's another thing. This is a good point, Sleepy Joe. I'm not a Pangea guy. All right. But when you do the Pangea models, like the ancient, continental drift stuff, Florida is actually the meeting point for North America, South America, Africa. When you do the Pangea maps, Florida is like the thread. It's like almost like the keystone, like in the middle of all the other continents. So that's pretty good Garden of Eden evidence, if I must say so. Like,
dude, before we get off the topic of Slurpees, you brought up slop before. How perfect is that? Sloppy, Slurpee. You got a sloppy Slurpee there, you little goyim. They tell you exactly what it is. Here you go, you little goyim. Here's your sloppy slurpee, you little pig. Go to your car and eat in your car like a little depressed guy. And pop
It's
some
become
Xanax, you know?
Merlin. Damn, bro, Merlin's about to join Hamas, yo.
My bad.
No, you're right. And if you know who likes Slurpees, rabbis.
Oh, hey, that's religious freedom, man.
Like,
Oh
Yeah.
man. Watch out.
brain freeze. That's terrible.
That is
But
messed up.
That's funny though.
people were making that joke, so I didn't come up with it. But so yeah, the Slurpee normalizing has to stop. All right. But all right, on that Morocco thread, 7/11 is the year the Moors came into Iberia and shook everything up in Iberia. That's the direct catalyst to Columbus going to the Americas and bringing the Jews with him to find a safe haven. And people talk about these Moorish theories, and some of them are outlandish. Some of them need to be outright condemned and like scoffed at. But there is a lot of truth, many kernels of truth to the whole Moorish presence in America thing. We've got a book over here called same guy who wrote A History of the Moors, or a book on the Moors, also wrote a book called They Came Before Columbus. They came before Columbus, about Africans in America. And so, you know, it's been a theory for a while that the Moors made it to America. The Turkish president, Erdogan, can you look this up, Merlin? President Erdogan, spelled with a G, like Erdogan. Muslims discovered America.
Muslims found Americas before Columbus, says Turkey's Erdogan.
Yep.
Yeah, right there. I'll zoom.
Yep.
We'll scroll.
And so, you know, Morocco's not the power it once was, but that power has kind of shifted over to Turkey. And, you know, the Ottoman Empire, when the Moors kind of lost all their power, the Ottoman Empire was kind of coming up at the same time the Moorish Empire was going down. So pretty interesting. He says, yeah, do you want to read those quotes?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. He made the claim during a conference of Latin American Muslim leaders in Istanbul, blah, blah, blah. Mr. Erdogan also said Muslim sailors arrived in America in 1178. Interesting. 711's in there, just backwards. He said he was willing to build a mosque at the site Columbus identified. Is this what you meant? Right here, contacts between Latin America and Islam date back to the 12th century.
So yeah, and it's true that many of the conquistadors used the words mosque and turban when describing Native American, culture. So now, is this just kind of a stretch? Is this just a big stretch? Oh, search this. George Washington cherry tree, Morocco, please. Who's ever heard of George Washington with the cherry tree?
I have.
Speaking of the cherry tree, we got the cherry tree over here with you two wearing burgundy colored shirts.
It's cherry season too.
Nice.
Yeah. I wore it for Jupiter.
The cherry tree with George Washington. Isn't that just such a dumb little a dumb thing they tell us?
Like
Abraham
Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln, it was like Honest Abe. You could tell no lie, right? What's the thing he did as a kid? that proved he'd never tell a lie?
Let's see. I'll look up Abe Lincoln myths.
But basically, yeah, the George Washington one, it's kind of similar. He chopped down a cherry tree, right? And all these like black Israelites or like Moorish scientist people, they say that the cherry tree represents the Moorish flag, the red flag with the green star on it. Can you zoom in a little, Merlin, please?
Yeah, sure. On Mason Lock Weems.
Who's that?
That's what popped up when I typed in George Washington cherry tree Morocco.
Type Moroccan flag.
After we discuss this connection, I have a theory about the cherry tree story.
Okay.
Yeah, go to that. Yeah, go to the site that's coming from.
Moorsinamerica.com. This is it.
Yeah. All right, brothers. Come on, brothers.
Tell the children the truth.
Brothers,
I am the
brothers,
first and
brothers.
oldest flag in the world. This right here is the oldest flag in the world, allegedly 10,000 years old. I am known as the cherry tree.
Brothers.
So this is the flag you were talking about?
So, yeah, according to this theory, the Moroccan flag is the cherry tree, and George Washington cut the cherry tree down, and he actually did lie about it because the cherry tree represents the chopping down of the cherry tree represents the betrayal of America's first ally. Like, we betrayed our first ally. They see it as a betrayal. And I don't know if I have the full story on this, but essentially, it's true. Morocco was like our first ally. But our first action as a like sovereign nation was going to Morocco, going to North Africa, and rooting out piracy and essentially making war on North Africa over the issue of piracy. Because there were all the Barbary corsairs, many of which were Moroccan. So, and it needed to be done. I mean, they were capturing Christians. This is a huge blind spot in most history classes, like all history books. At the same time, or I guess before, honestly, before the transatlantic slave trade even really was, kicked off, there were white slaves in North Africa. Thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands. By the time you get to 1770, okay, when the North American slave trade is still on its, in a United States, slavery is still on the increase. By 1770, there were hundreds of thousands of white slaves, white Christian slaves, robbed from Europe, robbed from the coastal towns of almost every city in Europe that was on the coast. They even went to Iceland to go steal people and enslave them in Africa. All right. Who do you think is going to last longer? A pitch black slave or a white, Icelandic Irish slave out in the hot sun all day, whatever. We don't have to compare or whatever, but, So I don't want to hear people crying about slavery, acting as if like they're a victim of it or people alive today are still, guilty of it, when the same is true for the other color, the other, countries, the other races. So it's really a fool's game trying to point fingers on this stuff.
There's not a single country on Earth, the entirety of Earth, that has never engaged in slavery. Not a single one. Wow. So I think it's just that simple, personally. But I do know of 2 countries that did a lot to end it. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Happy 250.
Facts. Straight up.
But I'm confused. Why is the flag actually called the cherry tree? Is it known colloquially as the cherry tree?
See, I don't know that.
This is just like a reach. It's kind of a stretch to say like, no, this is the flag. This is what he cut down.
Go to. Can you go to the blog and just read some more off the page. Not that one, the other one.
Yeah, right there.
This
Okay,
one,
let's
yeah,
see. So
perfect.
cherry tree denationalization of Moorish Americans. Okay, that's interesting. That's really
Okay, well
interesting
here,
language.
and there is something to this. Okay, there was a conflict. Now, Moorish citizens, because of that early treaty with America, Moorish citizens were not subject to slavery laws based off skin color. So Moorish citizens were free men. This is a fact. There was a court case called the Moors, or an act that came out of this court case called the Moors Sundry Act. And it was like they called it like the Free Moors trial or something. Yeah, Moors Sundry Act. And that was 1789, 1790.
90, yeah.
And South Carolina. You ever see the flag of South Carolina? Guys, go check out my Hidden Turkish History of America video. I should have named it Hidden Muslim History, but whatever. You tell me that's not a fucking Moroccan colony, yo. Come on.
Well, Turkey has the star and the crescent, and then Morocco has got the star. South Carolina's got the crescent.
Yep.
But the star and the crescent is some pretty heavy KGC symbolism too, with the star, the golden star, and the crescent, which represents the South or the Gulf.
Yeah. So go back to the Moors Sundry Act, please.
Oh, and one more thing about the crescent and the star,
Mhm.
the Turkish flag. Venus has phases just like the moon.
Yep.
So Venus can look like a crescent.
Yes.
And then the
Yep.
path of Venus makes a pentagram if you look at it from above Earth.
Come on, bro. You're jacking our ish, bro. That's our astrology gravy, bro. Come on.
So there could be some
Seth's gonna
Venusian
try,
stuff
bro.
in there.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And of course, Venus is the 5th planet traditionally in astrology too. So that's incredible. We're going to talk a lot of numerology today. The number 5. Go ahead.
One thing real quick is Muslims worship on Friday, Venus Day. That is their holy day. That declares to the world they are a Venusian religion. So Seth's absolutely right. Don't be fooled. That's not the moon they're obsessed with. It is Venus they're obsessed with. They are actually the most feminine culture in the world, Islam. Okay? They are so feminine that the men have replaced the women. Okay? And you might think, and again, I'm not like a huge, the divine feminine is, I'm not into all that shit. But if you want to know what locking up the divine feminine and repressing it really looks like, it's Islam. It's not Christianity. Okay. If that's your thing, is the divine feminine is like, needs to be unleashed and respected, well, Islam's the villain in that case. So, and I'm generalizing, of course. I love Muslims. We sell the Quran. We have a huge Islam section. So, but whatever. We got to stand for something at some point. So, but Islam, you see, the people, it's so Venusian. The men dress like women. The flowing clothes, they long tunics and skirt shirts and robes and things like that. Arab and Persian men in North Africa, they're obsessed with skincare and cosmetics and beauty tips at the mall and stuff like that. Like, a lot of jewelry, sweets. Also, sweets are a Venusian thing. Lots of sugary foods. No one does dessert like Middle Eastern people. Sweets, chocolate, candy, stuff like that. So everything about them points to Venus. And even the singing is very wailing and feminine. It's like, that's as Venusian as it gets. Men's crying and wailing like girls. It's like, that's all I hear is like a girl crying.
The architecture can be pretty feminine and curvaceous too.
Exactly. Yep. Totally. Mosques, Islamic architecture is feminine, curvaceous. And that's why you see the crescent up on everything.
Yeah. And it's also a very corrupted Venus too. Like when it comes to discussing Venus, it's important to remember that Venus literally is Lucifer. When Venus rises before the sun, that's when Venus is considered Lucifer. And that's after Venus goes retrograde. So like Seth mentioned earlier that Seth makes a Venus makes a pentagram with her patterns in the sky. Yeah, it's through her retrogradation, and she does that specifically in 5 signs. And yeah, when she does that, that's when she's considered Lucifer. So Venusian qualities can have the good Venus aspect, right? There's like the good love, and then there's the bad love. And like Longo was talking about, I think Islam, honestly, is a very corrupted Venus. Like how like there is a story, dude, a big story that happened this week, I think. Some American chick went to Ireland, of all places, hooked up with an asylum seeker, and wound up dead. How sad. But it's like their treatment of women and whatever. Let's not get into it. But yeah, Venus.
No, you're right. You're 100% right. And we'll kind of give them credit because before Islam, they exalted the goddess and femininity more than anyone. If you go read the Arabian Nights, 1001 Nights, because there's a heavy pre-Islamic influence on those like folk tales, the stories, the legends, that book. And I love that book. The Arabian Nights is genius. It's beautiful. And the women are the most important characters. It's the story of a woman outsmarting her, lewd, gross, the guy who imprisoned her, basically, who's going to marry her for a single night so that he can sleep with her legally under the law, the Sharia law. And then it's also like his best friend's daughter was the last woman left, the last virgin left in his kingdom. Some renditions of the story say it that way, that she's the last virgin in the kingdom. So her father kept her away as long as he could. She has to go sleep with this guy for the night. But the deal is he marries you so that he can sleep with you for the night, but divorce is illegal. So in the morning, he chops their heads off and marries another one. That's his loophole. Guys, there's not just one loophole religion in the world, okay? Islam is also very loopholey, very legalistic, and the loopholes, right, and the workarounds. So that was his workaround, was following his law. Can't, whatever. So the Arabian Nights is the story of this woman who outsmarts her captor, her oppressor, and eventually, earns her freedom, basically. And all the characters in the stories she tells, one after the other, 1001 nights, she tells 1001 stories, to keep herself alive, because the trick is she captivates him with the stories that she keeps making up out of nowhere, so much that he wants to let her live because he needs to hear the end of the story, but it's a never-ending story.
She makes him fall in love with her and not murder her. How sweet.
So, that's like exalting women. That's like showing women, at their best, their craftiest, their most, ingenuity, right? And survival instinct and all that. And you can clearly see the heavy pre-Islamic influence. There's all the, a lot of like pagan desert deities and jinn and stuff like that, which also is a component of organized Islam. But basically the pre-Islamic influence, the pre-Islamic culture there was very pro-feminine. Women, goddesses all over the place. And I'm not saying it's necessarily a good thing, okay? So get off my case. Okay.
Sleepy Joe.
Yeah, I'm not picking one over the other. I'm just saying we're not trashing them too much because they have it within themselves to respect women. They have it within their culture, deep down, this endless well, this deep well of respect and veneration for women. So Islam's the issue, because before Islam, they liked women. And the more Islamic they get, the less you see that, you know, women being heroes and stuff like that. So, all right.
Did you still want to do more on the? We had the Moore's Sundry Act. Did we hit all that you wanted to talk about?
One more thing to look at would be, let's look at the Turks of South Carolina.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep. Guys, go check out my video, Hidden Turkish History of America. Oh, God. The Qataris got me.
They gave him a jet.
The Qataris got me. You guys know have you guys seen the clip of the compilation of Tim Pool? Every time something happens that was clearly Israel, he goes on the Tim Pool show, he's like, yeah, I think there's Qatari money behind this. You know, the Qataris are trying to get their hands in this, you know, like, nah, come on. But yeah, so that Turkish video, it follows the story of there is a mysterious population of Turkish people that have been in South Carolina since the 1700s, maybe the 1600s. And they served in the Revolutionary War, their ancestors, along with General Sumter, I think Colonel General something. And General Sumter gifted the Turkish people this land in South Carolina. And they've lived there ever since. They're dark-skinned. Now, all the DNA tests on them, people always assumed that they were just black and Native American mixed, you know? But the DNA tests prove they are indeed Turkish, Middle Eastern, North African, not Sub-Saharan African, and not so much Native American. But they're darker skinned. Some of them are almost black looking. And many of them are, in fact, according to the genetics, Moroccan and Turkish. So there's something to be said that Moors did have like a friendly existence. They were welcomed in America. And then the Barbary pirate wars happened in can you search when were the Barbary wars? It was like 1800, 1790, around there.
It says from 1801 to 1805, and the second only 3 days in 1815.
So Barbary Wars between 1801 and 1815, the turn of the century. And we were good allies with Morocco up until this point. And then we had to go, get rid of piracy and slavery in North Africa because so many Americans were getting captured. So many Europeans and Christians were getting captured. Literally, the founding fathers said, all right, we just won our independence. Now let's go fuck some shit up. Let's go police the world, basically. It started with this. So the Barbary Wars soured that relationship with Morocco. And many of the Moroccan citizens who were black or dark-skinned people in America, when that alliance, gets thrown out the window, they're now dark-skinned people in America who do not have any political justification or their free status is now up in the air. It is now questionable. And many of them started getting imprisoned and forced into slavery. And they would sue the government saying, hey, hang on. We're not Sub-Saharan Africans, all right? We're Moroccans. You guys didn't bring us here in chains. The Moroccans, we came here on our own ships. We were trading with you guys. We had, outposts in North America. And basically the Moroccans kind of got screwed over. I mean, they got themselves in trouble with the Barbary Wars, but we're generalizing, of course. That relationship was soured, and then they got imprisoned, and that's where we get the Moore's Sundry Act, which is a couple Moors suing for their legal rights back. saying, no, 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 we're not sub-Saharan Africans, we're Moroccans. Now that is the beginning of the wee wuzzery, because after that, every black guy in America who could read a book was pretending they were Moroccan so that they could somehow earn their freedom, you know. So kind of the way out of slavery was to prove that you're Moroccan. That's really the foundation of the Moorish scientist thing. The guys with the fezzes and the caps, they're like black Israelites and they yell at people a lot too. A lot of them are really smart. I'll give some credit. Some of those guys are sharp as a tack. But there's so much wee wuzzery. And it's because they're basically trying to say, we're Moors, therefore we're not slaves. We were never slaves.
I think it's also important to mention that the Moors were extremely seafaring, right? And so it could have been easy for them to get to America. And they were so seafaring that we have the name we have for the knot that you tie like a boat to the dock, or the rope to its hitch, is a Moor.
True.
Yes. Yes.
So they were experts at sailing and navigating the waters.
True. So yeah, that's now people say, oh, George Washington's the bad guy in this story because we were allied with the Moors, then we stabbed them in the back. Well, Merlin, can you look this up? George Washington. I told you guys this before we went live. John D was 007, right?
Mhm.
John D 007. Well, do you know what George Washington's secret agent number was? 711. 711 711 was George Washington's code number. In the
We got to learn this. We got to learn the cipher system.
The Culpers, you know, no, scratch that. Edit that out. Everyone edit that out. Culpers, going through the drive-through over at Culpers. You guys have Culvers?
No, not by me.
All right, whatever. Never mind. Jeez, tough crowd. All right. George Washington used the code number 711. So now we got to search. I've already got this pulled up.
Sure.
The Culper ring. What was the Culper ring? The Culper ring was a network of spies active during the American Revolutionary War, organized by Major Benjamin Talmadge and General George Washington in 1778 during the British occupation of New York City. The name Culper was suggested by George Washington and taken from Culpeper County, Virginia. I don't know if I'm buying that. Culper to Culpeper.
That sounds like some Tartaria like stuff that they claim there with those connections.
Yep. You know, the Israelites really like to add and subtract syllables to things, if you guys haven't noticed. But Culpeper County, leaders of the spy ring were Abraham Woodhull, Robert Townsend, using the aliases of Samuel Culper and Samuel Culper Sr. and Jr. Blah, blah, blah. So yeah, guys. The ring was tasked to provide Washington information on British Army operations in New York City. Who founded New York City? The Dutch. With the help of who? I think you guys know. The juice box emoji.
Mm-hmm. The juices.
So, what are the odds of that, guys? Isn't that nuts? George Washington, who's at the center of this Moroccan cherry tree conspiracy, his code name 711. And the Moors, aka Moroccans, invaded Spain in 711. Is that the same thread? Is this the same thread that we're tugging on here? Or are these different threads? What do you think?
It's a similar thread because it ties together in that the years, but then also the fact that 7-Eleven is so ingrained in like the American zeitgeist, you know.
Yeah.
So like, was this revenge for what happened in 7-Eleven? You know, was that what this whole spy
Right.
network is all about?
I think that's kind of what I'm getting at is 7-Eleven is almost like a rub it in your face. Like, this is a poison factory. This is the poison stop, quick stop poison fill up. And it's all because we're still upset over 7-Eleven. That's when they had it their best. That was the golden age in their own words. And 7-Eleven represents the beginning of the golden age and the downfall of Christianity. And they're still upset over it. They're still bitter about it, I guess. I don't know. Or it's just, purely coincidence, and it's just the dark evil forces. I don't know. The demiurge is just stringing all that stuff together, maybe. But
Which is equally as cool. Like, literally either one of those explanations is genuinely fascinating. You know what I mean? So that's totally fine, I think.
yeah. But 7-Eleven is there's 7-Eleven has something to do with airplanes. And not 9/11. We're gonna get to that.
Did 9/11? What's 9/11 have to do with airplanes?
So
Airplanes.
flight.
9/11?
So flight 711. So flight 711 is a famous flight that just like crashed, I guess.
Well, yeah, Flight
Wouldn't be the-
77.
Oh, flight 77.
That was one of the planes on 9/11. Yeah.
See, there you go. All right. So flight 711 was a different airplane. Sorry, I thought you guys could see my screen. Go ahead, Merlin.
No, someone in chat said it. I think Seth check chat, bro, because you made that point to me on the phone earlier. How September is sept.
Yeah.
Remember how you?
Well, we're working our way towards that,
We're
but yeah,
getting there. We're
we can
getting
talk
there.
about that. we can bust that open right now. So, Seth, you want to explain that? So what 7-Eleven? All these people were commenting on that reel. Oh, the Jays did 9/11, and now they're doing 7-Eleven. Well, hang on. There might actually be something to that.
It's
Right,
all the
Seth?
same. It's the same number. It's the same code that they're evoking, I think, because what does sept in September mean? It's obviously 7. And why is that? Well, it's the 7th month after the spring equinox when the year actually begins, the zodiacal year begins. So, yeah, it goes so deep, the codes in 9/11. So 9/11 is a 7/11 ritual. It's a 77 ritual. But I think we got to bring it all the way back to the number 11. 11 has the word El in it, which means God.
Mhm.
And so words with El, they mean they relate to the upper levels or ascension, like elite, elect, elder, elevate, and angel, and all the angel names end with El. Raphael, Gabriel, Michael, Ariel, Uriel. So El in the number 11 is very powerful. And the number 11 has a doubling power. If you multiply 11 by 3, you get 33. If you multiply it by 7, you get 77. So it has this vibratory energy. But not only that, can I share my screen actually?
Yes.
Okay. Y'all can see that. Okay, so the Twin Towers too that came down on 7/11, sorry, on 9/11, Sept 11, they literally resemble the number 11. They fell on the 11th day of the Sept month, and we just talked about how El means God in Hebrew, has a doubling power. But this is what I find very interesting is that 11 represents the two poles of opposites. the masculine, feminine, the yin and the yang. And we're going to see how this relates to the twin pillars of Jachin and Boaz, which are the masculine and feminine, pillars through which the initiate walks when they enter King Solomon's temple. So, but before we get there, World Trade Center 1 was struck by Flight 11. By which company? American Airlines. So
Wait, no. Flight 11?
Well, yeah, there's Flight 11, there's Flight 93, there's Flight 77.
No.
Dude.
Yep.
Yeah. All the numbers are crazy.
Bro. All right. That's too much.
Yeah, and both towers had 110 floors on them. Which I don't know if you guys knew this. I mean, you guys know, but I don't know if the listeners do. In numerology, 0 is pretty transparent. You can just remove the 0. Yeah. It doesn't have that vibratory energy. It's the cosmic egg. It's the beginning of something, so it doesn't have numerological power like 1 through 9. Mm-hmm. So we have to start with the number 11 and just see the type of power that it has. How 9/11, Sept 11, literally brought down a big standing 11. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, and just numerologically, the number 1 is God, right? And L is God, the number 2 is duality, like symbolically, numerologically. So like L even 11, L even is L the 1 evening out into 2 and equal to.
Yeah. So we also see the twin pillar archetype and these standing ones in King Solomon's temple. And you guys have to read your Bibles. Read the Old Testament, read the New Testament, read it all, read all the apocryphal texts, because there's so much history in there about how we got here, where we are today, and why things are happening the way they are. And you'll understand a lot of the deeper meanings behind things. So King Solomon's temple was the first Jewish temple. They practiced a lot of animal sacrifice in this temple, and all Masonic lodges are built in correlation to the description of King Solomon's temple in First Kings. So it talks about here, First Kings chapter 7, 2 pillars of brass. They talk about how high it is. They put golden C's on the top with pomegranates and all this stuff. And I don't need to show you all the different.
Can we go back real quick?
Sure. Like all the Freemasonic temples out there, even in your town, are probably going to have a twin pillars out front.
What are the names of the pillars?
Jachin and Boaz, or Jachin and Boaz.
Mm-hmm. Now, what does it mean if my mom caught me jacking my Boaz in my room one time? No.
What the hell's a Boaz, dude? You got going on, man?
Your mom never caught you jacking your Boaz?
No, man. I don't
so, Mom, I'm worshiping in the temple.
Your mom never caught you. Your mom never caught you whimming off in your room.
No, just clipping coins.
Whim off. Everything all right in there, Con? Yeah. All right.
So now we can just see the twin towers and say, okay, that looks like the twin pillars. But it doesn't stop there. There's so much more. We get the Seal of Solomon, which from basically the masculine and the feminine triangles superimposed on each other. And so the Seal of Solomon can be World Trade Center 7. And we're going to get to that. Did you guys know that World Trade Center 7 is called the Solomon Brothers Building?
All right.
So it's
crazy.
So they literally dropped 7, and then the 11 right next to it. A 7 and an 11 went down.
Yes, and it's Solomon's building. It's got the same name as King Solomon's temple.
Yeah,
and these were the 3 buildings that came down in a fire, which is also described in the Bible. Right? King Nebuchadnezzar destroyed King Solomon's temple and the twin pillars with fire in 5 something BC.
And what was Jesus angry about Solomon's temple, or at least the temple in Jerusalem?
That was the second temple after it got rebuilt, but it's the animal sacrifice.
Well, animal sacrifice was a big thing, but what was the general offense that included the animal sacrifice trading.
Trading. Yep.
You have made it a place of, trading and merchandise and this and that, murder for sure and bloodshed, of course. But World Trading Center, Jesus was upset because they were buying and trading in the temple.
Yep.
World Trade Center. So that's what New York symbolizes on the world stage.
Mm-hmm.
Solomon coded, totally.
Super Solomon coded. So 2 Kings chapter 25, you can read about the destruction of King Solomon's temple. And so my question is, was 9/11 a ritual reenactment of the destruction of Solomon's temple?
Yep.
I mean, it's pretty obvious. You have the twin pillars right behind it. You have Solomon's temple. You have Solomon's building. But interestingly, they spelled it differently. Solomon Brothers Building, they spelled it SALOMON.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's probably the family name, but they know what they're doing. They could have named it anything,
Right. And it sounds exactly the same. It is Solomon.
Vowels are so malleable.
Yeah.
Right. And we're going to notice there's another building that plays into this that they just changed like one little letter of it.
Merlin, while he's going, can you queue up the birth chart for 7/11? Sorry, for 9/11.
Yeah. Hey, same thing, right? So yeah, I got you.
And then so I taught this. Some of these slides are from a presentation that I delivered to children because I was working for a homeschool company and they were doing a 9/11 class. And so I was like, well, I have to design my own slides for this. So the reason it almost looks like it's for children because it is, it's just very simple. I'm trying to put in plain words, that you're the temple, the body's the temple. And so the destruction of those buildings that day, by the way, there was 3 buildings. Like most normal people that you ask on the street, how many buildings fell down on 9/11? They'll say 2. They only think the Twin Towers.
Yep. But keyword what towers?
Twin.
Keep that in mind. That's
okay.
Significant.
Okay. So, and we call these parts on our head the temples.
Yep.
Because your inner sanctum is the seat of your consciousness.
Yep.
It's your left brain and your right brain put together.
And
so,
what goes on in the brain? What are the hemispheres doing? Like, what's the verb that we use the brain for?
To think?
Yes. I think. Bingo. All right. So twins, I think. Keep going. But keep going.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And I basically explained that the destruction of the temple in a ritual setting is essentially the destruction of your consciousness. And that's what happened. It put everybody into a fear state. And interestingly, too, this was like one of the big events that the entire world watched. And they spaced it out over the whole day so that everyone would get sent home or sit in your classroom. I remember this. I was 14 years old. I was in high school on 9/11. And everyone collectively witnessed it together. So it was the biggest loosh harvesting event the world had ever seen up until that time. So, is the destruction of the temple, is the destruction of consciousness. It really put everyone into this fear state. And I think now, 25 years later, we're finally ready to address this, and talk about it and look deeper into the ritual that they were doing.
We're almost at the Saturn return of 9/11. Which will be interesting.
That will be interesting.
Now, speaking of 9/11 anniversaries, RIP to Charlie Kirk. Okay. Great patriot, great thinker. Okay. We can make fun of him for a million things, but RIP to the guy. I don't think he's safe on some tropical getaway or on some tropical island. I don't think he's in the witness protection. Okay. I think that was him dying on that day, but
yeah.
Regardless of how it happened, that was if they could have pulled that off on September 11th, you bet your ass they would have. It would have just been, I think, way too obvious, or it was almost like the appetizer to the 9/11 anniversary. What was it? 25th anniversary. This very significant benchmark.
Well, what I think it is we were now think about the last couple of years. People have been talking about the Jays a lot more, and not being afraid to come out and just
you can just say us. It's okay.
Yeah. Publicly. And so I almost felt like it was a distraction. Like our minds were not on 9/11 on last year's 9/11 because we're all talking about Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
So it was like a 2-in-1. It was like we got to take this guy out, and we don't want people talking about
Yes.
X, Y, or Z.
Totally. Now, also another September 10th thing, kind of the vice versa. Like you're saying, people almost forgot it was the 25th anniversary because that happened right before, and it eclipsed, the 25th anniversary. Well, almost like the opposite happened on September 10th, 2001. So September 10th, 2001, I think that's when they announced the 2.4 trillion or billion gajillion missing from the
Pentagon.
Yeah,
Right. From the coffers.
I think that was September 10th.
Yes, it was.
Yep.
Now, also, did you know, talk about distractions. Do you know what else was September 10th? The long-awaited worldwide media event reunion of the Jackson 5. The Jackson siblings reunited on a single stage. Okay. Michael Jackson was a little bit of like a comeback. This was a media event. Huge event. Everyone forgot about it and they scrapped it. They were going to like tour together and stuff. They like scrapped it.
Wait, because that was 2001. That was the same year.
Yeah. So search I'll look it up. Jackson reunion 2001. That was an anniversary for them too.
Hmm.
And I think this was like how they distracted from the 2.4 billion or trillion getting announced the day before.
Oh, that makes sense.
Like, hey, the concert of the century, the concert of the millennia is going to be going down. Got to be there. You got to be there at the September 10th kickoff party. But $10 million a profit, I guess. So this is a big event.
That's nothing compared to what Rumsfeld lost.
Oh, hang on. It was actually a festival, I guess, and it went from September 7th to
No.
Maybe they would have gone to the 11th if they could have, but look at this. According to some sources, on September 11th, 2001, holy shit, Jackson, along with his personal assistant, Frank Cassio, were scheduled for a meeting at the World Trade Center to return a $2 million jacket or $2 million watch Jackson used for the concert and a diamond necklace for Elizabeth Taylor, but overslept and did not make it. In a 2002 interview, Jackson made no mention of a meeting and said he, quote, got a call from friends in Saudi Arabia of the attacks and turned the TV on to see the Twin Towers falling. Oh, wow. So no one ever heard about this. This was almost like the Woodstock of that decade or that year. It was the most talked about thing. It was like Mike Tyson fighting Jake Paul or some shit like that. It was like everyone was talking about it. Everyone had their eye on New York City the day before this kicked off. I mean, Michael Jackson, it's literally, and this is pretty funny because we can branch off into KFC from here. You know the three most famous people of all time are? Okay.
Colonel Sanders,
Jesus Christ, Michael Jackson, and Colonel Sanders.
Michael Jackson's
There's
more famous
Earth.
than Hitler.
That's the Earth VIP team. That's the Earth greatest hits. It's like Jesus, Michael Jackson, and Colonel Sanders. In the 80s and the 70s and 80s, they said Colonel Sanders was the second most recognizable person to have ever lived. So, whatever.
and I mean whoever perpetrated 9/11 are some of the biggest and worst chaos sorcerers out there. They wanted total chaos. And so if they planned it, they knew the flights were going to be all messed up on Tuesday. How many thousands of people came into New York City just for that big Michael Jackson event, and then were stranded and left there in like this post-apocalyptic scene of New York City because the sky was all grayed out from all the dust, and they couldn't fly home. You know, the flights were shut down for weeks, I think, after that. I forget how long, but.
Mm-hmm.
And then speaking of the distractions, I'll just bring it right back to George Washington real quick. The reason I think there's a story of him chopping down a cherry tree is to hide the reality that America used to be a giant food forest. You know, all the cherry trees were cut down, and they just pinned it on George Washington so that if you ever looked up cherry tree getting chopped down, it would point you to this one story. Just like if you try to look up what's at the North Pole, all you get is Santa Claus. So anyways, so yeah, distractions, but the September 11th stuff goes so much deeper. You want to keep going on that?
Yeah, man.
All right. Yeah, throw that presentation back up. So the Pentagon actually began construction on September 11th.
No way.
The FCC announced the 911 emergency service on what date?
Wow.
9/11. So 911 was always associated with emergencies already since 1987. I wonder why they chose that number. It's very interesting. 11 years before 9/11 to the day, George H.W. Bush, who was George Bush's father, the president at the time, delivered his New World Order speech. The first time on television that we heard the phrase New World Order. He says we need a New World Order to basically protect us from terrorists. And then 11 years to the day, his son is in power and 9/11 happens. Okay. That's pretty crazy. Also, it's interesting that it was done on a Tuesday, which is Mars Day. But the craziest part is that September 11th is New Year's Day in Ethiopia. And that's based on Sirius. And we're going to get to that later. Yeah. Groundbreaking of the Pentagon was done on September 11th, and it was a Masonic ceremony. But the Pentagon actually goes hand in hand with the number 77. 77 plus 7 is 14. 1 plus 4 is 5. So 77 in numerology reduces to 5. So when we have a Sept 11 ritual, we're evoking the number 77. And from that, we're evoking the number 5. Okay, so remember, in addition to World Trade Center 1, 2, and 7, the Pentagon was also struck, allegedly by a plane, but there's absolutely no evidence of that. But a big chunk of the Pentagon did blow up. It happened to be the office where they were auditing the budget that the day before had just revealed missing 2.3 trillion. So that's pretty suspicious. But beyond that, the Pentagon has very, very strange numerology in it because it was hit by Flight 77. Wait, how many minutes after takeoff?
No.
You can't make this shit up, man. The Pentagon's also 77 feet tall. And it sits on the 77th line of longitude.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Not latitude, but the north-south longitude lines. It also has 7 floors. It's exactly 14 feet wide. And its street address is 1400. So this is 77. This is the most 77 building that's ever existed. Okay. It started on Sept 11. And all of this here is what you see. It's also shaped like like the inside of a pentagram. Right? Yeah. Penta is 5. 5 is the number of man. We got 5 digits on each hand. We got 5 limbs, including our head. There's 5 senses, 5 elements, etc. Alchemical earth is the pentacles.
Yeah. Also, real quick.
Yep.
So if you've ever said the word serpent, maybe you notice pent in there. Serpent. Okay. repentance, right? But serpent, which is kind of like a loose anagram for repentance, like repentance, just turn that into an S instead of a C and an E.
Mm-hmm.
But the serpent, I forget where I first heard about this, but serpent, as soon as you hear it, you can't unhear it. Serpent is like the same root as sept, like usurped, the scepter. The king holds the scepter, and when he's replaced, it's a usurper, right?
Yep.
Usurped, serp, right? Servant, right? Serving is kind of that a similar root, serve, serp. But what I'm getting at here is the 7th sign of the zodiac is Libra. Venus rules Libra. Venus, the number 5, Libra, the 7th sign. Libra is the sign that's most vilified in mythology, right? And kind of the Bible indirectly. Libra's the bad guy. It's where the sun loses his power, followed by Scorpio, which is like complete darkness and the death of winter. And Libra is like the seduction that seduces you into the winter. The sun's going down, but oh, come on out, the weather's perfect. Then the sun goes down and you freeze to death. The beautiful allure of fall time. Oh, the leaves, go out hiking, it's going to be amazing. And then the sun goes down and or winter comes and you're caught in the cold and you're dead. But it looked I thought it was so nice. The sunset's so nice. Winter is the sunset of the year, and it's followed by pitch black darkness. So that mythological, there's a lot of value in that, like for symbolism and allegories. So we're not saying Libra is a bad sign. Libras are often very good natured, actually. But they do have issues. Libras are famous for having issues with temptation. They love to drink. They love to socialize. They love to, Libra has an easy time getting behind like all the vices because they like to have fun. They like the party. They like, Libras make the best bartenders. They can chat. They can feel for people. They can hold space. That's an air sign thing, holding space, right? But so there's a huge connection between 7 and 5. And also that's what brings us to 12. That's the completion of the zodiac. It's almost like a little bit of a Fibonacci sequence type thing. 1 to 2 is 3, and then the 2 to the 3 gets you to the 5. But I know that's not the Fibonacci sequence, but reaching back to the 2, adding that to the 5, that gets you to 7. Reaching back to the 5 and giving that to the 7 brings you to 12. So, there is this kind of fractal relationship between the 77, 5, but also 7 and 12. So,
yeah, and musically speaking, you got your pentatonic scale, you got your diatonic scale, which is 7 notes, and then your chromatic scale, which is 12. But yeah, the Pentagon was a huge part of this ritual. Like at once they destroyed evidence for the missing money, and that's part of it. But the other part was evoking this pentagram. They lit a pentagram on fire essentially. And we know that pentagrams are used in demonic satanic rituals, especially upside down ones, which is interesting when we look at the street plan of Washington, D.C. I'm sure you guys know about this.
Yeah.
But there's the White House. And those green lines are actually the streets. Now, there's actually one of them there's one tiny piece of I shouldn't have made it a complete. It's actually an incomplete inverted pentagram, like the one that's going northeast basically isn't complete. It doesn't connect to the bottom left tip. So if you zoom in on Google Maps, just go to the White House. There's the bottom tip. And then you'll see the pentagram shape in the street plans. but there's Masonic compasses at 47 degrees, like stuck into the street plan. There's so much crazy stuff. There's 6-sided stars in Washington, D.C. It's wild. It's super geometric, but we know the upside down inverted pentagram is satanic. Why the heck is the White House right at the tip of it? Oh, and what's interesting too, if you look at, one more thing. If you look at Google Maps or any map of the Pentagon, its front lawn is Arlington National Cemetery. So their front lawn is a bunch of dead bodies. What were you going to say?
Creepy.
I think I was. What was I going to say?
White House, Pentagon, pentagram, street plans.
Oh yeah, the same guy who did the layout for the guy who finalized the layout, the guy who had the final say for the layout of Washington D.C. Andrew Ellicott is the same guy who finalized the state lines for Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and the Garden of Eden area, right there in the Apalachicola. I'm not even kidding. The same guy who helped design Washington, D.C. with the astronomy and the astrology and all that. Literally, I think maybe his next job, I forget, was to go down to Florida and finalize the state lines for the United States, which weren't really United States before. They were loose territories, and that's where you get that 31, the Florida Panhandle, those nice two perfectly flat lines, parallels. It's a 31st parallel north, which aligns Florida to Jerusalem and the rivers of Eden in Iraq. So the same guy who's doing all this cool stuff in DC then goes over to Florida and gives us, finalizes our state lines today, which I think has a huge significance for the Garden of Eden area, because that's where he was spending a lot of his time and getting really down to the nitty gritty and the details and the landmarks, they cared about that stuff. So, and
Yeah.
I think, Seth, you and I think we've kind of done a show already on like 311 and 33 already with Florida's birthday, March 3rd. You guys can go check out that video. It's out there somewhere. We did a Florida birthday stream. Merlin, have we done a Florida birthday stream?
We were going to this year. We missed it for some reason.
Yeah.
But we'll get it next year.
That's a good rabbit hole too. Guys, we got 560 people in the chat. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Appreciate y'all being here.
Yeah, thanks, guys. There's two tarot cards with the pentagram, the inverted pentagram, and these are, I think, it's not the Rider Waite, because you have the skeleton with the scythe and some of the death cards, but some of them have the horse with death riding the horse with the black flag and the five-petaled, I don't know if that's a lotus or the five-petaled flower, but it's death and the devil. And I know those cards, they get a bad rap for being kind of evil, but they're not necessarily evil in and of themselves. They represent archetypes. The devil sort of represents bondage. And to me, death represents, in a way, a compost. Like it's the breaking down, but then from there, new life comes. It's Scorpio too.
Yes.
13. You guys want to say anything about these tarot cards and the pentagram? Because I think that's the end of my sort of pentagram deep dive.
No, I just want to say something about this little loser over here, fucking dick sucker, slurpy slurper. Your boy here can't even spell Robert Sepper's name right. All right, it's Sepper, like Sephiroth, because he's a Kabbalist. And honestly, you're getting insta-banned, perma-banned, forever. So yeah.
So I don't know. Do you guys want to get into Sirius?
Yeah, man.
We can get serious, yeah.
All right. So 9/11 was a serious event. And I'm talking astrologically speaking, astrotheologically speaking. So September 11th is the Ethiopian New Year. It's based on the heliacal rising of the star Sirius. Interestingly, Ethiopia is near Egypt, or it's in Africa. There's a lot of Sirius worship going on in Africa. The Dogon tribe claim to have gotten their entire mythology from the Sirius star system. And Sirius, we know, is in the dog star, right? Canis Major. And so Sirius is part of the big dog constellation. Okay, the Dogon people base their entire religious mythology on Sirius. And then the pyramid at Giza has a porthole where you can see Sirius through it. So, or it must be at a certain time because Sirius moves through the sky.
Yeah.
But anyways, Sirius plays a big part into this. Remember that 9/11 is the New Year's Day in Ethiopia, which is based on the star Sirius. Okay. Now, there was an animal that died in the September 11th attacks.
No.
Guess what his name was?
Sirius.
And what type of animal it was? It was a canine named Sirius. Okay, a yellow lab. Lab, interesting, backwards is ball. Dog backwards is God. I don't know if that means much, but it's there.
Labrador or Librador?
Hey.
Oh.
Because we got Labradorite, and Labradorite is associated with Libra.
So, yeah, this dog was 4 years old. I believe it was sacrificed in the destruction of these buildings. How could it not be on a Sirius holiday?
Yeah.
You know, and his name is Sirius.
They say he saw the planes approaching and ran up as fast as he could, try to catch the plane like a frisbee, incoming frisbee, but he was too late. And
That's funny.
He is a hero. So R.I.P. to Sirius.
For
if
sure.
If he was even a real thing.
If he existed, R.I.P.
It's kind of like in the Truman Show when the light falls down and it's labeled Sirius, and then later on they have a dog looking for him.
The dog's name is Pluto.
Yes, exactly. And Pluto is the planetary equivalent of Sirius. Like, you know, there's fixed stars that are associated or equated to Mars. There's fixed stars equated to Mercury. You know, fixed stars can have a planetary type or like an affiliation. Sirius, you know, this isn't like a super ancient thing, but Pluto goes hand in hand with Sirius. In fact, if you ever wondered why Pluto's the underworld, Sirius, you know, Sirius is in Cancer. Cancer is like a good sign. It's summer. It's happy. It's, you know, why the dark death, you know, underworld dog. Why is that in Cancer? Well, it makes complete sense because in a birth chart, the fourth house is the underworld. It is the bottom of the birth chart, and Sirius is down there at the bottom of the birth chart, the very tomb at the bottom. Literally as far down as you can go is the middle of Cancer, which is, I forget what degree in Cancer Sirius is at. But Cancer's at the bottom. So it is like the tomb of the birth chart, the underworld of the birth chart you go down into, just like Capricorn's at the top. That's why Capricorn's always climbing. You know, the goat's at the top, the crab's at the bottom of the ocean. So there is this important connection between Pluto being the god, the planet that represents the underworld, and then Cancer actually via Sirius also being a quote unquote pathway to the underworld, you know. So Sirius, Osiris, Snoopy, Scooby, Goofy. It's the black dog of the underworld. Not always black, but often.
That's interesting. Do you think the canine has to do with the Canaanites? Because Baal was the Canaanite god of human sacrifice.
Yeah.
So we
Could
have
be.
ball being evoked here. What's also really interesting is the dog's badge number was 17, and 17 in dog years is 119.
Wow.
Okay.
And then the
7
17th tarot card is the star, and we all know what the star is that they're talking about in this card. It's Sirius.
Right. And you know what 7 fuck, what was I just gonna say?
17.
Yes. 17 is the number of Saturn. 21 is the number of Jupiter because it's 777. 3 sevens. I know we're kind of painting a bad picture here on 77, but 777 is it's supposed to be a perfect number, a pure number, a good number, the
Yeah.
jackpot. It represents God, 777.
It reduces to 3.
666 is one ingredient taken out. It's like one component. There's a deficit between the devil and God. That's why the devil has to be 666. He can only be less than, or a corruption of. So 777 is God, is associated with God. 666 is the devil. 555 is man. Have you ever hear the Pixies song? The Pixie song, "Monkey Go to Heaven"?
Never
Or
heard
this
it.
No.
this monkey goes to heaven. This monkey's gone to heaven. Something like that. All right. In that song, he says, Black Francis says, man is 5, the devil is 6. Or he says, man is 5, and if man is 5, the devil is 6. And if the devil is 6, then God is 7. God is 7. And he's screaming it at the end of the song. He's like screaming his brains out. God is 7. So yeah, Pixies, good Pixies song.
Cool.
So, but yeah, man.
Well, yeah, Sirius is all over the Sept 11 ritual. Oh, and we didn't mention this yet at the bottom. K is the 11th letter of the alphabet, so K9 is 11-9.
Yep.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
we're evoking
K9.
K9s in many different ways. The Canaanites, Canis Major, Sirius, the dog, the star, the holiday, New Year's Day, Ethiopia. And I haven't heard many people talking about this angle. But hey, maybe Keanu Reeves knows because he's in the band Dogstar.
Is he actually?
Yeah.
After escaping the Matrix, he went on to the Dogstar. So
Wow.
Yeah. Now I read in this book about the ritualistic aspect of 9/11 that there's a serious cult in the military industrial complex that these people worship Sirius there in military intelligence.
Oh, I can believe it. I can believe it.
Yeah. I have. Yeah, so that's basically it. That's what I have on Sirius. That's what I have on King Solomon's Temple. That's what I have on 11 and the numerology and stuff. I do have one more crazy rabbit hole. If you guys want to check that out, we can save it to the end or talk about it now. But it's 9/11 and 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Ooh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a quick story real quick. Can I tell you guys the story?
Absolutely.
Okay. The craziest dream I've ever had. I think you guys maybe have heard me tell it before. Craziest dream I ever had. Okay. I was staying at a friend's house who I was traveling. I was going from South Florida to North Florida. I stopped at my friend's in Orlando. Very wealthy guy. House, his family's wealthy. The house is like maybe the richest, nicest house in Florida. It's huge. I made a joke to this guy's dad one time about astrology being for billionaires, not millionaires. Then he looked down at his watch and he's like, all right, well, I guess I'll be an astrologer in a couple months.
Whoa.
So, he was when I said that to him, he was on track to become a billionaire, basically. And so very wealthy guy. I was friends with his son. That's why I was there. I was just sleeping over on my way north. And I don't know, maybe I bring up the wealth because maybe it has to do with the dream a little bit. The mammon, mammon is like all the trappings of the world, the good food, the wine, the cheese, the money, the real estate, mammon. It's like the material world. But I was sleeping, had a good time at this guy's house, smoked a lot of weed, just hung out, laughed, went to sleep, woke up in the morning. My dream was very much, it felt like it was right at the verge of me waking up. Like it just seemed like the dream. It felt like it was already morning time when the dream happened. So I'm lying in bed, big room, and I wake up and it was very sunny. That's what I remember. But I didn't really wake up quickly. This was the only time I've ever experienced sleep paralysis ever. I had this dream. It was like an apocalyptic world landscape. And if you've ever played Mirror's Edge, the video game, it was like Mirror's Edge. The schizo losers in the chat will know exactly what that is. Mirror's Edge is like an Xbox game or a PlayStation game where you like parkour over everything, but it takes place in like an semi-apocalyptic future. And I was in like what felt like a parking garage. I was next to a parking garage. I was in the stairwell, the staircase attached to a parking garage. Like you go to the mall and you see those big parking garages with an exterior outdoor staircase. It's like a switchback staircase, right? And I was running down the staircase in this parking garage, running down, like skipping steps, like jogging my way down the stairs. And I'm going down, down, turn around, down the stairs. And as I'm running down, there's no one there. It's like there's no one in this city except for me, it feels like. And I'm running down the staircase, and there's a man in a suit walking slowly, taking his time going down the stairs in front of me. So I see his back, and I'm like above him because I'm coming down the stairs. And he's walking down the stairs, and I'm approaching quickly from behind, and I'm about to pass him. Right as I'm about to pass him in the stairs, descending down the stairs, I was trying to go around him. As soon as I'm about to go around him, he, like Skyrim, shouts me. Like Fus Roda, okay? He uses his voice. He doesn't touch me. He jerks around and uses his voice to blast me and pins me to the ground with his voice, like a sonic wave coming out of his mouth. And it pins me to the ground. It's like a jet engine blowing in your face, right? Blowing in my face. So I'm pinned to the stairs, and I can feel the stairs. I can feel the edges of the stairs in my back. I could feel pressed against stairs, and it was super uncomfortable. And as soon as I get pinned to the stairs, I realize it's a dream. And I start trying to wake up. And I open my eyes fully, and the dream is still 100% there. I'm waking up in the dream. That's like sleep paralysis. I couldn't move. I was laying in bed, and I could look down at like the foot of the bed and across the room. It was all lit up. It was very sunny, and I couldn't move. I couldn't say anything. I felt like yelling. Couldn't make a noise. I could breathe. People say, "Oh, I couldn't breathe." I could breathe okay. I just couldn't move. And so this guy's got me pinned to the ground with his voice. It's like a rush of energy, like air, like a pressurized air just crushing me against the ground. And he says something. He's saying something as he's using those words. Like that force is coming out of his mouth because he's saying a sentence. And that sentence, even though it was super slow, it's almost like he's like, ah, like each word is getting enunciated for like 30 seconds. I could hear the sentence crystal clear in my head. And it was so eerie. You want to know what the sentence was? This guy, and I didn't really describe him too much either. He was in a suit, so a black suit. I forget if it was a red tie or, but the tie stood out. It was the only color that he was wearing was the tie. Black suit, white, undershirt. He didn't have a face. No face. Just a light. Just a white light for a face. But I could see his mouth, and it was, this noise coming out of it. And the sentence that he was saying that was pinning me to the ground was, Sirius has come.
That's wild, bro.
That's
it.
weird, man. That's unsettling.
I know. So people say that was the Slender Man. I don't know.
When was this? What year?
2016 or 17.
Strange.
I was like 19 or 20.
Sirius is a mystery, man. I want to know.
I slowly woke up. Okay. I slowly woke up and like regathered all my senses, and I could like move. It took, here, I'll finish the dream. So I'm pinned to the ground. He says that. And as he's done articulating that, the pressure coming out of his his words stops, and he turns around, stops facing me, and continues walking down the stairs. Now, I'm still pinned to the ground. Even though he's done talking, I'm still pinned to the ground. I could still feel the stairs in my back. And I can't move until he's out of view. So he's walking, taking his sweet time down the steps, makes a turn and has to go down another set of steps. And I'm still pinned to the ground. And only when he's completely out of view, does the force field just kind of dissolve, and I wake up normally. And at the moment I wake up normally, the moment I have all my senses back, my friend's mom opened the door and essentially said like, good morning, or said my name or something. And I felt like I had just gone on a DMT trip, and I see her and I was like, oh my God, like I'm back to the real world. But
A lot of times when you're sleeping over at other people's houses, there's different energies. There's actually different entities perhaps floating around you and influencing your astral world.
It's funny you said back in the real world, because I was actually thinking earlier today, like, are dreams real? What makes a dream less real than this? Because I think there's a lot of truth in nursery rhymes, like row, row, row your boat. Life is but if life is a dream, are you going to say life isn't real? Why is your dream not real?
yeah. Yeah, man. And speaking of stories, buildings have stories, don't they? When a building comes down, it's all the stories, collapsing,
Yeah. And we're about to see how 9/11 is a continuation of the story of 2001, A Space Odyssey. That movie actually had its sequel, or like a director's cut almost. Maybe I shouldn't pin it on Kubrick because he wasn't around then, but there was a live element to this film, and I'm about to show you guys that. Someone did just mention that Kubrick died 666 days before 2001.
2001 officially started. Yeah,
Okay,
that sounds right. Like 2 years.
I'm gonna skip my
1999.
47 stuff.
Well, here, Merlin, real quick. Let's
Mhm.
take a peep at that birth chart
Sure, it's
for,
up on my
for
screen.
9/11. So, oh man, what the hell is this? What are we even looking at?
What
This
site
is
would
an
you like me to
this is an
use?
this is an Astro theme.
I wasn't sure which one you want. Astro theme? Give me a second. Put Seth's stuff back up. We'll get back to it if you want, or you can wait a second.
That's right.
No, we'll do
Thank
the
you.
Astro.
You can search. Just you don't have to put the time in.
Oh,
Search.
okay. It's just right up there. It's the first one. It's just like it's hard to zoom in on this one. It's fine.
Okay.
I'll make it work.
Was it
No bigs.
suggested in the top corner?
Yeah.
It was actually Astro theme had a September 11th tab.
Well, no, I googled it. I googled
Okay.
like it's 9/11 birth chart, whatever, and it was like
Yeah.
birth chart for the 9/11 attacks, like right up there. Astro theme first one. So here you are.
All right. So, can we zoom in a little bit more?
So that's the thing. Like it's tough zooming in on this. Like I could
Okay.
zoom it, but
Here,
like
no.
now
You're good. Go back. I'll do something else. There
this
you
is true.
This is perfect.
Okay.
I'll tell you what I see. All right. I'll tell you what jumps out to me. Number one, they fucking timed Mercury on the ascendant. Perfect. Like perfect.
Yeah.
That's a fast moving planet, and the ascendant is the it's essentially the only real movement in the chart. It's the fastest, it's the only constant movement in the chart is the ascendant has a fixed rate of movement. All the other planets are moving, cycling, perhaps even slowing down and speeding up. But the ascendant is that ticking of the clock. That is that steady, constant turn. So your birth chart is essentially you're freezing this cycle that's constantly spinning. I like to compare it to a chore wheel or like a wheel of fortune, but more like a chore wheel where there's options on the outside and there's options on the inside, and the combination, it's where they fall when you hit freeze, when you're born, when you take that snapshot of that moment, what you're seeing there. All right, whatever. So Mercury right on the ascendant, that's pretty dang good. Now, what does that mean to me? The ascendant is all about appearances. It's all about hearing about something for the first time, seeing something for the first time. The ascendant is where all the planets and the sun especially appear every day, or as they cross the horizon, they appear on the ascendant. That is the front door of the zodiac, the front door of the chart, right, of the ecliptic. So Mercury, that's what the ascendant rules. What does Mercury bring to the table? Mercury is all about media, information, news, talk shows. This is going to be the talk of the town. I mean, you got Mercury right there in the driver's seat, quarterbacking this whole arrangement, smack dab on the ascendant. People are going to talk about this, Now, what sign is this all happening in? Gemini. They've only got a 2-hour window to make this happen, and they do it almost smack dab in the middle of Gemini. They only have 2 hours to make sure that happens in Gemini, because the ascendant cycles every 2 hours. So they timed this pretty dang good. Sorry, that's Libra. Sorry, I confused that with Gemini. Libra is on the ascendant. It works the exact same. It's the same shit. I mean, we were just talking about Libra.
It works better. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah. The two pillars, by the way, are associated with Libra. I should have said that earlier on. It's Gemini's like the twin towers. Libra is also associated with the pillars because it's the halfway point. It's the balancing. It's the bar of the zodiac, Libra. But
yeah.
So you've got Mercury, which rules Gemini, the twins. Mercury, the in-between planet, in between masculine and feminine, in between yeah. Now, what else do I see? I see Jupiter at the ascent, at the MC, which, you know, normally a good thing, but it's kind of always a good thing, depending on it. The only question is whether you're up to something good or bad. You know, Jupiter at the top there is going to, it's almost like, you know, Jupiter on the ascendant or Jupiter on the MC is a clear mark of likely victory, likely success, likely triumph. You know, Jupiter at the top, a prominent Jupiter is saying this is going to pay off, essentially. You know, Jupiter is the jackpot also. So they've got Jupiter at the tippy top. They've got Mercury smack dab on the ascendant, like they're literally waiting for the clock to tick. Mercury on the ascendant, and then they click the detonator. Almost is what this looks like.
Yeah, they even said bring it down at some point.
Pull
That
it.
was later in the day. Pull it. That's it. Pull it. Yeah. And that
Yeah.
Jupiter, the MC. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And again, I don't want to demonize any of these positions or placements, because, you know, the birth chart doesn't tell you if this is an operation of good or bad. It's more or less telling you, will this be successful? Will this play out the way you want it to? You know, that's why, like we talked about in our Bible stream, astrology can be used for evil. You know, magic depends on astrology. Black magicians don't do things at random times. They know when to do things. You might not believe in this. Magic. There's a lot of definitions. One good definition is it's the study of the relationship between divine order and free will and chaos, right? And the divine order, the divine timing, the things that we have no influence on, the things that we could never change, even if we wanted to, is the heavens, the stars. That is the fixed, that is the immovable, untouchable. That's the original word of God. Whatever. All right. Blah, blah, blah. Basically, any black magician or voodoo witch worth their salt is going to look at astrology before doing something. You know, and essentially when they do a ritual is going to be entirely dependent on the astrology. So this is not arbitrary. Merlin, I know you're champing at the bit. What do you have to say about this chart? What are you seeing?
No, I agree completely. I mean, the Mercury on the ascendant
Oh,
is
and
incredible. Oh, go ahead.
One last thing, grand air trine, communication. And this also points to a media event. People are going to talk about it. But all right, keep going.
Yeah, just the fact that Mercury is in Libra, right? And we talked about Libra earlier, and what makes Libra so impactful is that Saturn exalts in Libra and Venus rules Libra. That's why Venus gets such a bad rap, or Libra gets such a bad rap, is because those two naughty planets are associated with Libra in that way.
Mhm.
And then what's interesting too is that they have Venus. Venus just finished or was in the process of being retrograde at this time. So Venus is west of the sun. When you look at an astrology chart, the left side of the chart is east, and then everything sets in the west. So we can see here that Venus is west of the sun because it's further clockwise on the chart. So Venus is west of the sun. Therefore, Venus is in her Lucifer state, where she's vespertine when she rises before the sun. So there is that connection. So what's interesting though, right? So Mercury is in Libra, drenched essentially. Mercury is just in the mood that Venus and Saturn love so much, and Saturn's in Gemini, hosted by Mercury. So Saturn's quite happy there, being in a very
they're wife
mercurial-
swapping. They're literally wife swapping. Saturn
Ex-
and Mercury are wife swapping.
And Saturn, like you said, that there's so much communication in here. Like Saturn, they wanted this to get out. This is something that they rolled every classroom in America, had televisions showing this stuff. You know, Seth, you were in school during this. I was in, I think, 8th grade during this. And I mean, obviously, everybody was talking about it, for weeks and weeks and weeks. It affected national media, international media. There were moments of silence, people crying on television. All sorts of stuff came out of this. And then, like you pointed out long ago, Jupiter up top, in Cancer. So Cancer rules the family, but then it also more broadly rules the nation, and especially what's America's birthday? Cancer. So we had an expansion of American nationalism, nation, family, natal, an expansion of all that as a result of these attacks. So like they used Jupiter's expansion for nefarious purposes. And just like Longo was saying earlier, right? Magic, the elements, the natural order can be harnessed for good or evil. And they literally harnessed it for evil.
Yeah. So Sirius is at 14 degrees Cancer, which is smack dab in between the MC and Jupiter, right?
Yes, Sirius on the
MC.
MC.
They literally lined Sirius up with the MC, and Jupiter's almost conjunct it. That's a pretty big. So Sirius, guys, Seth was just talking about Sirius. That MC at the top is the tippy top of the chart. It's a degree or two, 3 at most, away from Sirius. The planet, the star Sirius, is right there at the tippy top of the chart. And, Mars is at the bottom. Neptune in the 4th house. Neptune likes to be in the 4th house. That's a good spot.
Mars
Neptune.
exalted in Capricorn.
Okay.
Happy Mars. Yeah. Happy as shit Mars, honestly.
And it was a Tuesday, Mars Day.
Yeah. And 3 planets in the 9th house. 9th house, travel. What else? The pilots were the terrorists were certainly doing some traveling that day, but
it's also long journeys, but it's also spiritual journeys too, like pilgrimages. So what does that mean? Did people go on spiritual pilgrimages for truth after 9/11? Did 9/11 wake some people up to some of the things that are going on that are behind the curtains? Some Wizard of Oz type shit. I think so.
Yeah,
it woke me up. I mean, this whole event was a catalyst to my awakening.
Yeah, totally. I was only like 4 years old. I remember I was eating waffles in New Jersey.
Yeah.
When the towers went down, we could see the smoke.
You've left Florida before?
Yeah. Sorry. Does that bar me from running for Supreme Chancellor of Florida if I've been out of the state?
No, you've already been grandfathered in.
Yeah. My family would have like summer vacations in New Jersey, like the Jersey Shore, ocean, Atlantic
Jersey is
City.
Beautiful, honestly. And I say that as a New Yorker. Jersey's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, it's the garden state. Before it became like the industrial smog state, it was the garden state, and they grow a ton of food in New Jersey. To this day, actually.
Garden your spaghetti from your fat Italian siblings. More like.
Oh man, yeah, that's today. That's Jersey in 2026.
Garden. All right. What else? I guess you had a little bit more to say about 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah, it's not too long. We can get to the gravy, but what year did 9/11 happen? And again, whenever we say 9/11, we're saying Sept 11. So we're really saying 7/11.
Yeah.
But what year was it? It was 2001. 2001, the film. Do you want to throw the slide back up? 2001, the film is widely regarded as one of the greatest and most influential films ever made.
Mm-hmm.
Just like 9/11 was one of the most influential events to ever happen. There was so much fallout, so much was done politically, internationally from that event.
There's a chance that they both may have been technological marvels.
Yes,
Mm.
dude. And actually, Topher, Biocharisma, who I discovered on your show years ago,
Shout out
he
to
had shout out Topher. He had a crazy episode on Tinfoil Hat, I think with Jim Lee, the guy from Climate Viewer or Climate Watch or something like that, where he talked about the technology behind creating a negative pressure front or negative pressure wave so that this exotic weaponry could be used to vaporize the Twin Towers. We haven't talked about all the physical stuff, all the destruction. The towers didn't really crumble and create debris. They dustified. They turned into dust.
Yeah.
And so Merlin just mentioned the exotic or high technology that was potentially being used that day. And it certainly was, because there was very little debris. There's quotes from the fire department guys, the rescuers, saying, I didn't find, this is the largest office building in the world. I didn't find one phone, one chair, one desk, no evidence of any offices. It was literally just dust and like rivers of molten lava. So yes, exotic weaponry was used to take them down. We're not really talking about that. Talking more about the occult stuff. So here's why Sept 11 was the sequel, or a live ending, not even necessarily an ending because it's probably still going, to the film. So obviously one of the main themes and symbols in the film is the obelisk, right? It's this monolith that's black. It's like a slab. Interestingly, it looks just like your smartphone.
Yeah.
But these things appear whenever there's a big consciousness shift in the film, right? So the first time it appears, we see like the monkeys learn how to use violence against each other and be territorial. And there's this, you can see in their brain something switches and they start fighting with bones and stuff. And then the obelisk appears and they kind of freak out about that. So that's the first time we see that in the film. The second time is when man makes it to the moon, right? And they're like doing all this work on the moon and they're like, sir, you got to come look at this. We found something. They found an obelisk, the black monolith. I guess it's not an obelisk because an obelisk is usually the pointy one, phallic one, but it's
monolith.
Monolith. My bad. I'll adjust the slides. So
No,
the second time,
it's obelisk. It's still technically an obelisk because I believe in the book, I could be wrong, I haven't read the book, I heard that it was an obelisk and he intentionally made it look like more of a screen. That it's supposed to be more of an obelisk, but he thought that it would have been too like conspiracy theory or too on the nose if it was just like a Washington D.C. obelisk, so they made it this.
Well, it has deep meaning being shaped like this. We'll get to that, but the idea here is that we want to take away is every time we see this thing, it signifies a consciousness shift of humanity. Okay. We also see it when man achieves like interstellar travel, and we see it when man becomes Star Child. So it's whenever these like software upgrades or like a new ascension to the human consciousness happens that we see this thing appear. Now, 9/11 was a consciousness shift, was it not?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we saw a black monolith shaped just like this at ground zero on 9/11? Turns out we did.
What?
Okay. This is 55 Church Street. It is at ground zero. It is overlooking the Twin Towers that were destroyed. And it is shaped and looks exactly like the obelisk, the monolith we see in the film 2001: A Space Odyssey. So 9/11 was a real life consciousness shift created by collective worldwide trauma. And it was marked with the appearance of the obelisk, just as in the movie. On the same year, 2001, the movie's named after, right?
That's insane.
Yeah, it's pretty
And
wild.
boy, were those Terrys on an Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
They were on an Odyssey already.
The Terrys, yep. And we talked about the Pentagon earlier. The Pentagon was also used in 9/11. This address to the Millennium Hilton Hotel is 55 Church Street. It's 55 stories tall, and it reopened on 5/5. So
Damn.
there's that. So it's highly coded, and the fact that this
It's Millennium Hilton. That's literally like saying 2000 Hilton. It's like the
Right.
2000. It's 1 year off from being the 2001 building.
And I think they misspelled millennium too. I think it's commonly Milen. There's only one L in the name of the hotel. Like if you look it up, it's both because they're kind
But
of
also-
trying to cover it up. But
It's kind of like, it's almost like what we were just seeing with the Sirius being on the ascendant at the top of that chart, where Sirius was smack dab in the middle of Jupiter on one side and the MC on the other. Saying millennium and then having the two key dates being 1999, Kubrick's death, and 2001, the actual event itself and the name of his movie. 2000's in the middle. You know, it's like the negative space between them. But now that's a great. I never knew about this. The obelisk. That's crazy. What it seems to me to be is that Stanley Kubrick probably faked the moon landing, or was tricked into faking it, or somehow contributed to it. He had a hand in increasing the media, potential for the event, right? Increasing the accessibility, the cinematic quality of the event. Now, people say, "Oh, it looks like well, 2001: A Space Odyssey is so masterful and beautiful that the moon landing's crappy. It looks shoddy. It looks like a student film almost. Well, that's kind of the whole point. Stanley Kubrick single-handedly raised the roof, raised the ceiling for technology in visual effects and all that. Literally raised the roof, raised the bar so far above what everyone else was doing, that it then made this crappy little thing believable. Because if you think if the masses think space looks like this HD perfect space opera, and then they're like, "Oh, that's Hollywood. That's, wow, that was cool." And then they see this crappy little moon landing that's really undersold, understated, and there's all this buildup on it. To me, that makes it more believable. Is the contrast with the Stanley Kubrick movie. Like, yeah, the Stanley Kubrick movie was accurate, but no one really expected them to put an HD 4K cinema camera on the moon. Like, whatever. So it was a psyop top to bottom. I think we all kind of realized that. But I just love how, Seth's putting this together, where Kubrick it's almost like the same mission. Like the beginning part of the mission was the space landing, where everyone's huddled around their radio, everyone's huddled around the first like TVs to ever go out, and they're hanging on the edge of their seat, hanging on every word coming out of the radio for the moon landing, and they're seeing it on TV. Families are glued to the TV. And this was all like a positive, it's positive. Like America's at its peak. We're ascending. We're dominating the, space, the heavens. We're beating the Russians. So that's almost like the apex, the climax of the American experiment. 2001 is like the winding down. Like it's coming crashing down almost. It's the completion of the cycle. And Stanley Kubrick may have had a hand in both, more than he realized, more than he bargained for. He may have unwittingly assisted in the moon landing, and then he may have given, equipped them with the tools and the techniques to run with it and make a whole slew of media psyops and false flag things. But 2001, 9/11 being this climax, another climax, it's all bad, negative. It's not the illusion of, oh, we're conquering the world, we're conquering the moon, America's on top. This is like, no, America sucks. You just got your ass handed to you by a bunch of fucking camel bangers from a cave in the middle of nowhere. And America's vulnerable, defenseless, you know. So Kubrick, yeah, I kind of like Kubrick is almost like the bow on top of this, the cherry on top of this whole thing. What do you guys think? How do you?
Well, what's interesting too is you were talking about how we're all huddling around the radio, getting the information, getting the news. How did we all take in 9/11, and how did we take in the movie 2001 through this thing?
Mhm.
Right? I'll take through our little obelisk, through our little monolith, sideways. It's not this anymore. It's not the tall version. It's the side one.
Mhm.
So this is the screen through which we get programmed. So
That's the comment I was going to make, is how similar it looks to a cell phone. It's like, okay, we all have our little block here, you know.
Mhm.
It's crazy. And if the moon landing was America's climax, like you were saying, man, how sad is that? That our peak, our apex, is based on a complete and total fabrication. You know, that says a lot about what we are as a country, honestly.
This comment's pretty nuts. I don't know if it's true. Haven't checked it, but it rings true. The character in the beginning of the film, Haywood Floyd, his name is Defy Hollywood. It's an anagram for it. Defy Hollywood.
well, there's only one L in Haywood Floyd.
Can we also make Hollywood, Florida out of this? I don't know.
Maybe.
Hollywood, Florida is where all the 9/11 attackers were camped before the attacks. You guys know that? Hollywood, Florida. All the attackers. All right. Search this up. 9/11 attackers, South Florida. Just search that into Google.
Yeah, I think I put you onto that book by Chris Bolin.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, we talked about it before.
But if you guys want to know more about the Florida 9/11 connection, read the book called Solving 9/11.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And yeah, Hollywood technology had a lot to do with both 9/11 and 2001.
And the moon landing.
And the moon landing, yeah. Hollywood, and like Jordan Maxwell pointed out, all the ancient sorcerers built their wands out of wood from a holly tree. Hollywood's where the magic happens.
Right. And also all the things were being made in the late 60s. So the Twin Towers started construction in the late 60s. Space Odyssey was filmed and released in the late 60s. Moon landing was the late 60s. So I feel like they premeditated all this stuff at that time and kind of planned it all out decades in advance.
Even Operation Northwoods, which was the proposed false flag event that made it through the Joint Chiefs of Staff all the way to Kennedy, and then they assassinated them later. But Operation Northwoods was them planning to have Cuba fly planes into buildings in Miami to, you know, coordinate a false flag. And that also was planned in the 60s.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could have all been coming together for all that time. You know, like these plans have been coming together for so long.
Yeah, the 60s were some of the worst times for psyops.
Yeah.
And the boomer generation really got it. You know,
Yeah.
they really got it hard.
Yeah.
They didn't have the internet. They didn't have YouTube to look through the veil.
So 15 of the 19. There's another. I think you already wrote that down. 19. Whatever. 15 of the 19 hijackers involved in the September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks lived, blended in, and trained in South Florida during the months leading up to the tragedy. The region, particularly Broward and Palm Beach counties, became a primary staging ground for the terrorists as they blended into the local communities while finalizing their plot. Mohammed Atta. All right. Where they lived, Atta and Al Shahi lived in a small apartment house on Jackson Street So Hollywood, Florida, Delray Beach, Boynton Beach, Coral Springs. This is all around me, guys. This is like, right down the street from me.
You're
So
part
you
of
should
it.
have seen something, you're saying, and you should have noticed long ago.
I was 4 fucking years old.
You didn't
Okay.
see something, say something, and now look at what happened because of
Dude.
you directly.
Muhammad Atta is your uncle.
I don't know what to say. But Hollywood's a cool place, and they hung out at the Hollywood Circle that I've done a video on. They were doing shots and eating all this seafood, which is like Muslims don't do that, they don't drink, and certain seafood certain Muslims don't eat. And they were at like a dive bar drinking and banging white girls. Like, that's got Mossad written all over it. All right, that's not someone who's so religious that they are going to that they think destroying America is the only way forward, is not going to be drinking and dancing with infidels at bars.
Mhm.
Yeah, it debunks their whole jihadist angle.
Yeah.
They weren't.
Yeah. All right, guys. What else? What else should anything? Last thoughts before what else needs to get mentioned?
Well, someone said, why don't we stand up to the psyops that are happening now? There's a lot happening right now. Why are we looking at the past? And like, for me, the reason we look at the past and try to study and understand these things is so that we know just the level of deception that's being waged upon us. And so that we're just more aware and we know who not to trust. Whoa. And just an understanding of the past and all this stuff, it equips us for today. Allows us to stand here today and look at the things being given to us and say, no, thank you.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. You not to be lame, but there's such a thing as consenting to the past. You know what I mean? Like consenting, like agreeing with what happened in the past and choosing, let's just not dig up what's old and just what's the saying, let things lie.
Yeah, like let dead things lie or something like that.
Yeah. So, but all right, someone out there, guys, one of you schizo winners, I'm not gonna say losers again, schizo winners need to get this book and tell me what it's about. All right. I was searching 7-Eleven occult or something, and I saw this. So that's a book about something. I saw Satan at the 7-Eleven. And guys, go check out, guys and girls out there, go check out Merlin's page. Wise Wizard Merlin on YouTube. I'm gonna share a screen.
Appreciate it.
Guys, go subscribe to Merlin.
Let sleeping dogs lay. Somebody said it in chat. Thank you.
Let Sirius.
Oh,
lay.
sleeping dogs.
Sleeping
Oh, that's
dog.
good. Yeah.
Guys, go subscribe to Merlin. You guys did a show together, didn't you?
Yeah. It'd be under lives in the live tabs, like way up there.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. It's
Go see the stream they did together.
on the right there, the harmonics of the heavens. It's pretty fun.
Guys, go
I had
check
him
out
on my
that.
show too.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
did-
we did an interview with Seth. Yeah, that was great actually.
So you did 2 separate things?
Yeah.
Okay, guys, go check those out. And so that's Merlin's page, astrology, current events, and then
School of
Unlearning.
Yeah, I'm going to put, someone asked in the chat about the slides. They want to be able to download them. I'm going to do a whole 9/11 series through August.
Nice.
Partly on my YouTube, but mostly in my school. The school is also called the School of Unlearning. So come tap in, and I'm going to dish out the gravy so much deeper than we went today.
Hell yeah. Yeah, guys, subscribe to Seth's page if you haven't already. He had Cam on. Did a show with Cam not too long ago.
Based.
Yeah. And here we got Mark O'Farrell says, with $5, says 7-Eleven used to be called Totem. Totem. Like a tote bag, or you're carrying something, or like totem, or like a totem pole. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know anything about that. Zalero with another $10 says, can you post these slides somewhere for DL? This is such a great presentation. DL, download, or Dr. Longo?
I think download, but yeah, just tap into the School of Unlearning, and they'll be up during August.
Shell, yeah.
Mark O'Farrell gifted another 5 Old World Florida memberships. Appreciate that. Appreciate our non-broke boys here, the VIP section. Non-brokies. Right here, chat for a sec. Say goodbye. Say goodbye to the people.
Love y'all. Have a good night.
Good show. Don't commit acts of terrorism. It's generally frowned upon by the broader public. Stay away from that kind of stuff, kids. No good.
Oh yeah, to reiterate, we love everyone. We accept everyone. I actually love
Yes.
Muslims so much. I want them to move into my city in mass numbers and just completely blotch out my way of life. That's how much I love Muslims. And we love everyone. We're all about love. Love conquers hate. We hate hate. I hate hate. I fucking hate hate. It's like can't tolerate that. All right. And so yeah, there you go. So we can't get in trouble for any of this. And thanks everyone.
And oh, go ahead.
No, that's right.
On September 11th, 2 planes took down 3 buildings, and we're sticking with that story.
Yep.
Pretty impressive.
After reviewing all the evidence, we're still with the plane theory. So
it just makes a lot of sense. You know, the talent that the hijacker had to crash the plane into the Pentagon, diving at that angle and then correcting at the height that he had to correct at. I mean,
I heard he went under an overpass too.
Yeah. And he did a barrel roll on the way in as he was chanting death to America, the motherfucker.
He fit a passenger airplane under an overpass and then into the side of the Pentagon.
Yeah. And before
there's no security footage either of the most heavily guarded building in the world. So you just got to take my word for it.
Well, I mean, at the same time, NASA taped over the moon landing telemetry data. So stuff happens, Seth.
Stuff happens,
you
man.
can't
Never
expect
forget.
perfection, you know? The tapes malfunctioned when Epstein, something happened to him, I think. You know, so why would these things work? You know?
Yeah. All right, guys.
I got one last word for everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you. Come again.
Oh, that's funny. All right, guys. Everyone, peace. Let me get 20 on pump number 3. Let me
get 11 and 70 cents on pump 3.
Yeah, get $11 on pump 7. All right. Peace, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Yep. Wild Indian, yeah.
Hey, V, line them up.
I'm a wild Indian, you know I go crazy. Ain't really Indian, that boy fugazi. I just keep it player, you can never play me. You got an ass so fat, girl, let's make a baby. And another one. Then I'm back to the trap, I'm trying to double some. She a bad woke chick and I love her tongue. We some jurisdiction boys, we some one-on-ones. Look, don't compare me to no Martin dog, I'm like Malcolm X. Die about our freedom, we'll leave a crack and stretch. Round of applause, boy, you know we clapping text. Chucky dog, child's play, yeah, nigga, that's what's next. Open up the cans just like Arizona. Pull up masked up like we got the Rona. We set up jurisdictions when we buy the corner. How you claiming that's your hood and you not the owner? Be the B, I just pulled up in the need for speed. Free the land, tell the colonizers that they need to leave. Wild Indian up in my veins, you know how we bleed. You ain't gotta lie about who we is, dog, just keep it G. We at war, we can't keep the peace. Since we at war, gotta keep the peace. Whack a cone, then I meditate. Should I need to breathe? Keep a Omeg head when we slide, dog, cause we the shit.
Like my niggas said, bitch, we the shit. I can't keep the peace. If it pop off, then I want a piece. I'm just on release. I'm in go mode, motherfuck the thief. In these streets like EBT, when we at war, make peace with me. I don't give a damn, understand. Fuck who stole this land, white or black or tan. Understand, it's fuck who stole this land. Might have seen me get little buddy these hands. He wasn't no abo man. A lot of these dudes is Sambo man. They full of shit like my ammo can. What they call an N-word out the wrong mouth as an ambulance. Wild Indian, get it in advance, or you can post dated. Ask around, I'm the most hated. Straight sacred, they stole acreage. Yo, ape shit, show ain't shit. It won't be televised, on tape shit.
Be the B, I just pulled up in the need for speed. Free the land, tell the colonizers that they need to leave. Wild Indian up in my veins, you know how we bleed. You ain't gotta lie about who we is, dog, just keep it G. We at war, we can't keep the peace. Since we at war, gotta keep the peace. Whack a cone, then I meditate. Should I need to breathe? Keep a Omeg head when we slide, dog, cause we the shit.